Okay, hello. Uh, Welcome back to episode 5 of the Normal Podcast. My name is Toon Schulten, your host, and once again, I will be by myself. Amazing, because no one wants to do this with me yet. Well, actually, later today, I'm going to record a podcast with one of my friends, Lewis. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be my first, real interview, because episode 4, I'm not sure of how many people listened to that, because I actually just uploaded it, so I'll see how many people listened to that episode. But I didn't actually give much context into to that recording, to that podcast, mainly because it wasn't for me, it was for my roommate. My roommate likes making videos. Yeah, so basically I told him, I'll record it and then I'll upload it as my podcast, but I'll give you the audio for your content, for your video. So I'm going to, once he uploads the mukbang video, I'll share it with people on Snapchat, on Instagram, just so that people can observe me talking with my roommate. I'm not sure if people are interested into that, but we'll see how that goes. If you listen to it, it actually ends up turning out that my two other roommates come join us, and it's just really chaotic, and we just try to make conversation, mainly because at that point I didn't know my roommate very well. I talked to him a couple of times, so it was, you could feel the awkwardness in the video a little bit, but yeah. And then the last couple of weeks, so I don't know, I haven't had the motivation to really make podcasts, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. I think it's just because, not that there's no reward for it, I'm not looking for necessarily a reward, but sitting down and talking to yourself gets annoying, and I want this to not just be me talking and sitting down and just people listening to my voice. That gets boring. So I want to interview more people, and I haven't really been chasing that, but I think I just need to get the ball rolling, just get momentum. So I'm gonna try to get as many people as possible. What I'm also planning on doing is I'm gonna record multiple podcasts and then upload them every couple of days, so that there's some consistency. Because I think that's also another reason. I don't want to push people to watch or to listen to this, but I also don't want people to forget that my podcast exists. So yeah, just to summarize it, I've been lazy as fuck and I need to do more shit. So that's pretty much where this podcast is at. As well as for SoundCloud, you only get a certain amount, if you have a free account, you only get a certain amount of upload time. I think it's about 3 hours. And I recently just hit that. So I had to make the decision on whether or not I want to buy the pro version of SoundCloud. But I did it because it was $100 for 1 year. So, and I can just cancel it within a year if I don't like it. So I already paid for it, might as well use it. So I just did that. So I can upload more podcasts now. Yeah, but anyways, after those boring 4 minutes, let's talk about something interesting. So this past weekend, I took LSD for the first time with a friend. And in all honesty, it was fucking weird. I'm not sure if for people or for those people who don't actually know what LSD is basically it's a chemical psychedelic that's made by people. It's not like shrooms or something that's naturally found. It's LSD is something that's a formula that's created, and you can take it, and it induces psychedelic a psychedelic trip, and it lasts really long, I think about 8 to 12 hours. For me, I could say that it almost lasted for about 20 hours, because went to sleep for about 3 hours and I woke up and I was still feeling the effects. But the whole thing, when I came out of the trip, right, and I still feel this the last couple of days. It's for some reason I feel I don't know. I don't know how to act around people anymore. Like it sounds weird, but it's like normally, like like when you walk up to somebody, you kind of know, like, oh, like I gotta talk to them, I gotta make small talk, and like before that, before the LSD trip, I wasn't really having trouble doing that. Like I would want to make small talk with people, or at least I was trying to, not necessarily want to. But for some reason, for some weird reason, after this, I feel like I can't do that. Like I just there's no reason for me. Not that there's no reason, but it's like I walk up to someone, I'm like hi, and then they're like hi, and then I don't know what to say. So like the LSD has been kind of been fucking with my head the last couple of days, and I talked to the person I did it with, as well as some other people that I knew that had taken it, and they all pretty much said that after the trip you don't feel like yourself for at least a week or two, because you're basically what happens is LSD connects parts of your brain that normally aren't connected, and they activate parts of your brain at the same time that normally aren't activated. So like your brain basically goes on overdrive. Like it like what is it called? Like a short circuit. Like it basically just it fries your brain to the point where you just kind of forget how to do, like, not how to do shit, but your thinking is kind of changed. But yeah, but anyways, about the actual trip. So I mean, I'll just kind of walk you guys through it. I don't want to make it too long because I also don't remember all of it, because LSD kind of, because most of the memories you make on LSD are through parts of your brain that aren't active anymore. So your trip isn't as clear. But anyway, so I was sitting at school, and my friend who has the LSD walks over. And he's like, "Hey man, like, do you want to do the LSD?" Because like we had been talking about it for a couple of days already, and I'm like, I mean, I would prefer saving it till tomorrow. But he's like, "No, dude, let's just do it right now." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, sure, why not? Let's do it." So he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go into the bathroom. I'm gonna split a tab, which is like, if you want to call it like, or to make it simpler, if you don't know what a tab is, it's like a pill. It's like it's a paper thing that has the chemicals on it. So it's like basically a pill. So he cuts the pill in half. He gives it. We put it like in our mouths. You have to let it sit there for about 30 minutes. So we let it sit, and then we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? So I'm like, let's go back to my place. So we go back to my place. We're chilling. Like we don't really feel anything. And then just like the classic, like, oh, we don't really feel anything. Let's take more. Um, my friend's like, do you want to take more? And I was like, hmm. He's like, dude, I don't want to force you to do anything. But I'm like, no, no, let's do it. Let's do it. Fuck it. Why not? Let's, like, if we're gonna trip, let's have like a big trip. So we decided to take the other tab that we had. So we split that. So in Cleveland, we both had about one tab. So we take this and we walk back to school. And at this point, it's not really hitting us quite yet, but we know it's kind of in our system. Like our body starts changing the feeling we have. We feel a lot more relaxed. We have like a euphoric feeling, like we're happier than normal. That's what euphoria is. So we walk to school, we talk to people. And at this point, we're just like, hey, let's go to our friend's place. These like two Italians that we know. They might join the podcast later, depending on if they're not quote unquote too busy. But so me and my friend were just like, all right, let's go to their place. We'll just walk in there and we'll see if they can tell that we're on some shit. So we start walking there, and while we're walking there, we have another classmate who walks with us, and we're just talking. And as we're talking, it really starts to kick in. Like we're basically like looking at nature, and everything is just very bright. Like I don't know how to, like, if you've never taken psychedelics, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But imagine like for people who have glasses, right? Imagine you don't have glasses, and then someone for the first time gives you glasses, and you look at things, and you're just like, what in the yo? Everything is so clear. That's kind of the feeling that it was. Like everything was so clear. So like we're walking, we're talking about the most random like shit ever. Like that you can imagine like a person on psychedelics would be talking about. And so eventually we get to the Italian's place, but they're not there. And we see the roommate, and we she opens the door, and uh, she's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, your friends aren't here." So we were like, "Okay, we're just gonna go." And then we're like, "Do you know where they are?" And they're like, "Oh," she's like, "Yeah, they're at the gym." And then me and my friend are like, "Okay, well, we're not gonna go to the gym. That would just be weird." But then while we were walking away from the house, we were like, "Dude, we should totally get some ice cream." So he's like, "All right, I know the closest place to where we can go get some food." So we walk to a grocery store. We walk in, we buy some ice cream, and dude, that was so weird. Being on LSD in the middle of a grocery store is really weird. Like, there's just so many colors, and like, you observe things so much more. So we're like, we're not trying to freak out. So, but this grocery store happens to be close to the gym. So we call our Italian friends, and we're like, "Hey, we're outside. Like, look out the window." And it took them fucking forever to figure out where we were. And then we're just like, "Hi." And then my friend goes, "Dude, we should just send him a selfie." And I'm like, "Selfie?" He's like, "Yeah, dude, let's just send him a selfie." So we just send them the most random selfie ever. So we continue walking, and eventually we basically did this big circle, and eventually we get back to my place. And my place is right next to school, like literally a 3-minute walk. So, but and we still have ice cream. So we're walking, and all of a sudden we see these people that we talked to earlier. So we start talking to them. We're just enjoying ourselves, and eventually we're just like, "Yeah, we're on LSD," and then they just start like, I don't know, it was so good. They had like a really good vibe. Because that was also another thing. Like on LSD, everything is about vibes. Like people give off vibes, and it affects your mood very. Like the people you talk with affect your mood in a big way. So we were like talking with them, and we were enjoying ourselves. And then they were like, "Yeah, we got to get back to work," because they were still at school working. So yeah, so we go to school. Then we're like, "Okay, now what do we do?" Because they had to leave. So then we're like, "Let's go to our other friend's place." So we go to our other friend's place, and we're just like, "All right, we're just gonna walk in there, and we're just gonna talk with her." So we started talking with her, or well, we went to her place because she lives in the same building as I do. We went to her place, and then so we're just like, we knock on the door. We're like, "Hey, can we talk to you?" And then she's like, "What?" And we're like, "Can we just come in and talk to you for like 10 minutes?" So she's like, "Yeah, sure, come in." So we come in, and me and him both start laughing our asses off. And she's like, "What is going on?" And I'm just like, "Should we tell her?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead." So we're like, "Yeah, we're on LSD right now." And on LSD, you become a lot more observant. So we started like looking around her room, and on her like wall, she had like all of these drawings that she had made, and one of them was like really colorful but also really dark. So I was like, what is this?" So she starts explaining this whole story behind this picture, and as she's explaining the story, bro, the LSD kicks in like, and it kicks in at the same exact time as my friend's LSD kicks in. So she's like telling the story, and she finishes the story, and I go like, "I'm so sorry, like I was completely paying attention to your story. It's just I turn to my friend, I'm like, "Dude, that LSD kicked in really hard during that story." He's like, "Yeah." So we just started laughing our asses off. So we don't really know what to do. So eventually we leave because she was eating food, and we didn't really want to bother her anymore. So we left. Then we're like, "Okay, what should we do?" And then we were like, "Oh, let's just go sit outside." So we go sit outside, and for about 20 to 30 minutes, we're just walking around. We're both just laughing, and we're both like, "Dude, we are really high right now. We're like really, really fucking tripping balls." So yeah, we trip balls, and then we're like, we don't really know what to do, and then we start like more and more people start like kind of walking outside because it was at nighttime, and there was a party going on in the place that I live, and people were coming to it. So some of the people that were going, we knew. So we started talking to them, but like they started freaking me out. Like the way that people like were talking to me, it was like I was legit just like, dude, why the fuck are you looking at me like that? And they would be like, what? And I'm like, dude, why are you looking at me like that? They're like, dude, what do you mean? We're just looking at you. I'm like, no, don't look at me like that. Like, just it was really weird. So I'm just like, dude, we need to go back to my room. So we go back to my room, and at this point, me and my friend we have no idea what's going on. We're bipolar as shit. Like every single second, we're just like going through like a completely different emotion. We're first sad, then we're happy, then we're angry, then we're sad again, then we're really happy again. And we were like, dude, like give me a hug. And he's like, we're both just like giving each other hugs. And then we just have like the most like, I don't know, it was so weird. We started listening to music. Music while you're on LSD is pretty fucking nice. It's just like you just sit there and listen and everything feel like sounds like you feel the music. Like you really feel the music. Yeah, and then at a certain point I kind of started freaking out. Like after like the music, like I just couldn't handle it anymore because there was so like my mind was racing. There was so much going on. Like I couldn't really stop it, and I was trying not to freak my friend out because the thing is like you pick up a lot on other people's vibes, so I didn't want to make the vibe for him like terrible because the vibe for me was like kind of like I was freaking out. So yeah, then eventually, um, the roommate McDewey that I did the mukbang with last week, or yeah, well uploaded today, but did it last week. They he walks in the room and he's like kind of sick, and he just starts talking to us, and he has like no idea what's going on. And then we start talking about the party that's happening in our building, and we're like, should we go? Should we go? And I kid you not, it took us 45 minutes to decide if we were going to a party or not. Like we literally just kept on saying, let's go. And then it'd be like, no, 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 we're not going. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. Nah, dude, we're not gonna go. And this debate just kept on happening because we just like we weren't sure if it was a good idea or not. So then eventually we go. We decide to go, and so I get to the party, and it's hosted by like this student organization. Some of the people that were hosting it, I knew. We used to hang out a lot, so um, yeah, I was like, okay, well, this is gonna be weird, especially considering I'm on LSD. So I like walk in, I see them, I talk to them, and at this point, me talking to other people just stopped working. Like I just didn't know what to say anymore. Like people would be like hi, and I'd be like hi, and then they would just stare at me, like waiting for me to say something, and I'd just be like, what? What do you want? I don't know what you want. I, what? Oh, you want me to speak? Oh, like I just basically just stood there. I just looked like I was trying to avoid eye contact, but it was so weird. Like I just I didn't understand like social context anymore. Like for example, like you know when you walk into like a room, like a busy room, there's always like an atmosphere. Like just any room with people in it. Like you go to a party, there's like a party atmosphere. People are talking, people are drinking. You kind of get a feeling of what's going on. But for me, during the LSD, like it just kind of went away. Like I just didn't. I couldn't feel that. Like I was in a room with about 40, 50 people. And there was music going, there were lights going, people were drinking, people were laughing, people were talking, but it's like I just didn't feel any of that. I just like there was no atmosphere. Like I felt like I was walking through an empty room. And it was so weird. Like just imagine walking into a room and there's a bunch of people, but it just feels like there's no people in the room. There's not a single person in the room. So yeah, that was really weird. And then I talked with a couple people, and it was just awkward. So I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go back. And my roommate and the guy I was tripping with had also come down, but they had stayed, and I didn't tell them that I'd left. So eventually, I get like a call from one of them. To like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm just like sitting upstairs. And eventually, the guy that I was tripping with, he was like, dude, I can't be here anymore. Apparently, that's what my roommate told me. He's like, I can't be here anymore. So he goes home. I don't see him for the rest of the night. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm trying to like calm down because like I'm not completely freaking out, but I was like thinking about things, and I was just really didn't really know what to do, or like, I had no plan. That was kind of the problem. I didn't have a plan on what I was gonna do. I was like, should I watch Netflix? Like, should I just sit and think? Like, should I call people? So I was like, fuck it, I'll call people. So I started calling people, and I was like, okay, I just want to talk with people. I want to see how this goes. And I just started talking with people, and like the first my friend Lewis, who's going to be on the podcast for the next episode, I called with him, and I was just literally, I told him, I'm like, ask me a bunch of questions and I'll tell you the truth. So he started asking me a bunch of questions, and I was like saying shit like super directly. Like he would ask me a question, I would have an answer for it right away. And like I'm pretty sure some of the answers were wrong. Like not like they were subjective questions. So like my answer wasn't necessarily wrong per se, but it was inaccurate. Like there was no the accuracy of my answer wasn't very, not that it wasn't deep, but it wasn't thought out in the way that it could have been thought out. So I did that for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then eventually like like I just didn't want to have the conversation anymore because like I started thinking about things I didn't really enjoy. So I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm like, dude, I don't want to have this call anymore. This call is not going the way that I wanted to. I'm just gonna hang up. So I hang up. So then I continue. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll just watch some Netflix. Watch some Netflix. Didn't really like. I couldn't focus. Like I had to think. So I was like, fuck, I can't watch Netflix. Then I started trying to watch YouTube. That didn't work. So then I was like, oh, I'll just call the Italians, see what they're up to. I called them. They're like in a group setting, like kind of drunk, kind of high, like just, and they were like all with a bunch of people, so they were talking and shit like that. And I was like, just ask me a bunch of questions. Like this is what I just kept on saying, like ask me questions. And they asked me really dumb questions. They were like, do you believe aliens exist? And I'm like, what? That's all you want to know? It's not like I have a in-depth like answer. It's not like psychedelics give you information. They show you information, but it's not like they give you information. So yeah, so I talked to them for a while, and that was also, at a certain point, it also kind of got weird for me, because, like, I would, like, even with the people that I was calling, I was still getting, like, a vibe from them. Like, even though I wasn't there in person, like, if I was there in person, it would be a lot more clear, but it wasn't. So, but I was still getting a vibe, and at a certain point, the vibe felt really awkward, so I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. So, I hung up, and then I just started thinking. And I was just sitting in my room by myself. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should go outside. So I go outside, start walking around a little bit. But I didn't really know what to do. Like, I was super indecisive. So, like, I just started walking into a direction. Then I started thinking, I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to walk into this direction. Let me go the other direction. So I started walking the other direction. And then when I finally started walking that direction, I'm like, I don't want to walk in this direction. So then I was just thinking to myself, I should probably just go back inside because I don't know where I want to walk. And before I make a decision walking into the wrong direction, I'm just going to go back to my room. So I went back to my room. And at this point, I'm just pacing back and forth in my room, like just walking back and forth, thinking about things. I like stared in my mirror for like about 15 minutes, just staring at myself. Mainly at like my pupils, because my pupils were dilated beyond belief. Like they were huge. They were so big. So I was like just thinking, talking. And then at a certain point, it kind of started wearing off. So I was like, okay, I kind of need to go to sleep because the next day I had to meet with my group for some project that I was doing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to sleep. So I went to sleep for about 3 hours. I woke up the next morning. And I could still feel it. Like I still felt that I was like kind of tripping. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to school, finish my work. I started, but the only problem is like I started talking to one of my group mates. However, she was the only person I could talk to in that moment. But like for the rest of the people, I didn't know what to say. Like it was so weird. Like I didn't know what I should have said or what I wanted to say. Like it was a social interaction, but I was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. So yeah. So then I had to continue working in my group, and then at a certain point we were pretty much finished, and I was just like, dude, I feel so sick. Not like I did feel shitty. Like I felt sick. Like I kind of wanted to throw up, but I also kind of didn't. So I was like, I'm just gonna go back to bed. So I went back home. I tried to fall asleep, but I couldn't fall asleep. So um, I started like looking up online. It was like, what's the best way to fall asleep after an LSD trip? And they were like, smoke weed. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna smoke a joint. So I'd still had some weed left over because, um, well, yeah, I'd like, I've been in the last couple of weeks, like I've been smoking every now and then. And so and I still had some weed. Like I don't keep much with me, but I just have it in case of like me like coming home at night, like I can't sleep, or if like there's nothing to do, like I'm not being invited anywhere or something. Like I just smoke a joint and then just watch Netflix and then fall asleep or something. But I was like, okay, well I gotta smoke a joint. So I smoked a joint, and then that didn't really work. So 3 hours later, I was still awake. So I smoked another joint, and then I uh, ended up falling asleep. But for like the next 18 hours, of those 18 hours, I think I slept for about 14 of them. Like I was dead asleep because I'd basically been awake for about 48 hours um, because of the LSD. Like I had 3 hours of sleep in 48 hours. So my body was just like basically dead. Plus because my brain had been used so much that I needed a lot of sleep. So I was just like, fuck, like I'm so tired. Like I even woke up the next morning and I was so tired to the point where my body was awake, like I was awake, but my eyes wouldn't open. Like I would try to open my eyes and they were just like it would hurt to open them. Like my body was basically still asleep except my mind was awake. It was really weird. So yeah, that was a long little rant. I mean, I'm just gonna keep this podcast short. So I'm gonna end it here. Um, I guess I'll talk about a little bit more about the plan. So I know that I said that I would upload my podcast to YouTube and stuff like that. And as much as I probably will do that, I haven't done it recently. I think what I'll do is I'll promote it separately because I think if I yeah, I don't need to explain this to you. I have an idea. I'll do it because I want to get people more engaged. I also want more feedback people. Again, if you guys get to this point, just message me. Tell me what you guys think. I'm always open for suggestions. Um, I like when people like if you think like if the way I talk about something or like if I'm talking too slow or if I'm talking too fast, is the way that I'm talking unorganized? Is it organized? Do you follow me? Do you not follow me? Like, do I need to? No, I don't want to bend to. Like, I still want to do my own thing, but I also want to make it enjoyable for the people that are listening. So, um, yeah. But besides that, thank you guys for listening to episode 5. I'm not exactly. I probably won't upload this for the next couple of days because I already uploaded episode 4, the mukbang. So yeah, just if you guys want to listen to some more, I have a bunch of other episodes on SoundCloud that you can listen to. Yeah. So anyways, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a good day, good night, good morning, whenever you're listening to this. Don't smoke too much. Also, don't, well, no, get shit faced. I don't give a fuck. But for the rest, thank you guys for listening, and bye.